Hello, friends and family members. This is your friend and family member, Job Titus Cannon. And today we're celebrating Women's History Month, the second week of March 2024. And we're going to talk about a very important person in the Word of God by the name of Ruth. Ruth is one of two women books in the Bible. And if I was to give this lesson a title, I would say Ruth, a true love story. But before I get into what we're going to be getting into today, I want to talk about uh, Ruth, and I want to explain the situation that was going on during this particular time. And Ruth was the daughter-in-law of a woman by the name of Naomi. Naomi was married to Elimelech, and they were both Israelites that had left Canaan at this particular time to go to Moab because there was a famine going on in the land. Naomi and Elimelech had two sons. Names was Marlon and Chilion. Marlon married Oprah and Chilion married Ruth. But soon after they had gotten into the country of Moab, Elimelech died. Shortly thereafter, their two sons, Marlon and Chilion, died. So they was left with no men at that particular time, and it was just Naomi, the mother-in-law of Oprah, and Ruth. And when I talk about this true love story, I could have named it From Rags to Riches. I could have named it From Foreign to Domestic. I could have named it Trouble Don't Last Always. But I wanted to talk about a true love story because in this dilemma that Ruth was in, as well as Naomi, Naomi told her two daughter-in-laws, hey, listen, there's no point of me staying here. I am going to go back to my country. So she kissed Oprah, and Oprah said, hey, I love you, mother-in-law. I'm going to stay here. But it's interesting what Ruth did. Ruth said to her, and I'm going to read the first chapter, verses 14 through 17. And this is what it says. Then they wept aloud, and Oprah kissed her mother-in-law goodbye. But Ruth clung to Naomi. And then Naomi said, look, your sister-in-law has gone back to her people and to her gods. Turn back and follow your sister-in-law. But this is the interesting thing in verse 16. It says, but Ruth said, do not urge me to leave you or turn back from following you. For where you go, I want to go. And where you lodge, I want to lodge. For your people will be my people, and your God will be my God. Wow, that is so powerful. So where you die, I would die. And where you be buried, I want to be buried. May the Lord do the same to me as he has done to you and more also. This is Ruth's dedication to her mother-in-law. Boy, I wish we had more daughter-in-laws that love their mother-in-laws, because sometimes you can be a daughter-in-law and a mother-in-law. Instead of being a mother-in-law and a daughter-in-law, sometimes you can be a mother outlaw yeah, and a daughter outlaw. But that was the dilemma that was going on at this particular time. So that is, in essence, the first chapter of Ruth. But Ruth decided that she was going to follow her mother-in-law. And her mother-in-law was older, so Ruth had decided that she was going to be dedicated to her mother-in-law. So chapter 2, I'm going to call it the dedication of Ruth. So if we go to verse 1 of chapter 2, this is what it says. It says, now Naomi had a relative of her husband, a man of great wealth and of influence, from the family of Elimelech, and his name was Boaz. And Ruth the Moabitess said unto Naomi, please let me go to the field and glean among the ears of grain after one of the reapers, in whose sight I will find favor. Naomi said, go, my daughter. Now, when we talk about glean, a gleaner is a person who goes and gathers small grain and other products that's left behind by the harvesters. At this particular time, it wasn't a welfare system. So when the people harvested, they left portions so people that was less fortunate could come and glean. That's what you call gleaning. So in verse 3, so Ruth went, picked up the leftover grains in the field, after the reapers, and she happened to stop at the plot of land belonging to Boaz, who was a family member of Elimelech, her father-in-law, who had passed. So then Boaz said to the servant, "Who is this in charge of the reapers? Who is this young lady that's out here uh, that I have seen, I've never seen before?" So the person that was in charge of the field said, "The servant in charge of the reapers answered, and he said, She is the young Moabite woman who came back with Naomi from the country of Moab. And she said, Please let me glean and gather after the reapers amongst the sheaves. So she came and continued gathering from early morning until the evening, except she sat and rested for a little while and in the field." So she was dedicated to providing for her mother-in-law. Verse 8 says, Then Boaz said to Ruth, "Listen carefully, my daughter. Do not go and glean in any other field or leave this one, but stay here close to the people that's working in here. Watch the field they reap and follow behind them. I've commanded the servants not to touch you, not to mess with you. And when you are thirsty, go to the little water jars and drink of whatever the servants draw freely." Then she kneeled and face down, bound to the ground. She said, "Why have I found so much favor in your eyes that you should notice me? Because I'm a foreigner." And Boaz said, "I have been made fully aware of everything that you have done for your mother-in-law since the death of your husband, and how you have left your father and mother in the land of your birth and have come to a people that you did not know before. I'm just here to tell you, sometimes word gets around on you. When you do good, word gets around on you. So that was Ruth's dedication to Naomi and her family. Now let's go to verse chapter 3. We're going to talk about after Ruth was doing all of this work and doing all of this, and he was talking to her. We're going to talk about Boaz's desire for Ruth. So this is chapter 3, verse 7. He said, When Boaz had eaten and drunk, his heart happy, he went to lie down at the end of a stack of grain. And then Ruth came secretly and covered his feet and lay down. Now, this was at the urging of Naomi, because Naomi was noticing that Boaz was kind of liking Ruth. So she said, hey, young lady, let me tell you, this is what you need to do right here. So she did as Naomi had told her, and that's what she did. She laid down at his feet. In the middle of the night, the man was startled, which was Boaz, turned over and found a woman lying at his feet. So he said, Who are you? And she said, I am Ruth, your maid. Spread the hem of your garment over me, for you are a close relative and a redeemer. Then he said, May you be blessed by the Lord, my daughter. You have made your last kindness better than the first. For you have not gone after young men, whether poor or rich. So he was noticing. And verse 11 says, Now, my daughter, do not be afraid. I will do for you whatever you ask, since all my people in the city know that you are a woman of excellence. Ruth was a woman of excellence. She had a great reputation. Chapter 4, I'm going to call this Boaz's devotion to Ruth, his marriage, his eventual marriage. Verse 9, and then Boaz said to the elders of all the people, You are witnesses this day that I have bought everything that was Elimelech's and everything that was Chilion's and Mahlon's from from the hand of Naomi. Verse 10 says, I have acquired Ruth the Moabitess, the widow of Mahlon, to be my wife, to restore the name of the deceased to my inheritance, so that the name of the deceased will not be cut off from my brothers from the gate of this birthplace. You are witnesses to this day. So Boaz redeemed Ruth. Not only did he redeem Ruth, he married Ruth, because he was what we call the kinsman redeemer. So during Jewish custom, they was able to purchase the birthright and all of the things that was in the particular family, because that's what they called the kinsman redeemer. So this was truly a love story, because Ruth started in a bad situation. She had a bad dilemma. But she had a devotion to her mother-in-law, left her place wherever she was. She wanted to come to where Naomi was. So that was her devotion. So chapter 3 talks about Boaz's desire, because when you're doing good things and you're a hard worker and you're doing great things, people notice you. People notice you. And chapter 4 was the ultimate thing, because Boaz loved her, married her. They had a son named Obed, and Ruth is actually the great grandmother of King David. This was a true love story, because Ruth was truly loved. What are you talking about, Reverend Cannon? Well, let me tell you this. Ruth, the L in love was she was loyal. She was loyal not only to Naomi, but she was loyal to Naomi's people. And she was also loyal to the one and truly God of Naomi, which is the one and truly God that we know. She was loyal. She also was obedient, which is the O of love. She was obedient to Naomi, and she was listening to Naomi's guidance so she can get the ultimate prize. But not only was that, she was virtuous and she was valuable, because she was valuable to Naomi, but she was valuable to other people, because other people saw the work that she was doing in the fields, which basically led to her marriage of Boaz. And the E, she excelled. When you're doing a good work, when you're just being just a good person, love will excel. Amen. So I just wanted to bring you this story of women's history, because Ruth is a true love story. A woman that not only was a great daughter-in-law, but a great woman who listened, obeyed, and God made a great example out of her. She was able to catch the prize, Boaz, because she was loyal, she was obedient, she was victorious and valuable, and she was excellent. God bless you, and continue to celebrate these great women, not only of the Bible, but women that are doing great things in our world. God bless you.